And welcome back. Joining us in studio this morning is a representative of the Organization of American States, Dr. Luis Octavio Cumbra. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And
Good morning, Sabrina.
Dr. Cumbra is here to discuss with us this morning a donation that was given to Belize last week. And this was to the Belize Police Department and other law enforcement agencies. And it's equipment to mark firearms. Good morning once again.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sabrina. Good morning, Sana. Good morning to the audience.
Yes.
I'm really happy to be here and finally meet you in person after so many years, at least 3 years, watching TV, watching Channel 5, and benefited from the news
Yes.
that you publish. Yes, we did a second donation of arms, of equipment to mark arms for the police of Belize. 10 years ago, we started with the first one. I understand that it was useful to mark every arm from the police. I mean, every police officer has their marks, their weapons arm marked. And now they can mark also not only the police officers' weapons, but also weapons that are being registered in Belize.
Yeah.
This is very important, and let me tell you why. If you have a car, your car has a specific VIN number, specific for the car. Anything that happens, any accidents, they will be able to locate the owner.
Yeah.
With weapons, not like that. I mean, each producer, each fabricant, they have their own system of registering their arms, and there is not a consolidated number for arms, for weapons in the countries of the Americas. We are talking about a continent, a hemisphere, where organized crime is everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, organized crime is stronger than many governments in the Americas. Marking arms is a way to pinpoint and to find out who sold this arm to a criminal, where this arm is coming from. That's why we did that.
What is interesting about this, Dr. Coimbra, is the fact that in Belize, many of the crimes that are perpetuated with firearms are firearms that are either stolen, they're unlicensed, and in some cases they're unmarked, as in perhaps a serial number or whatever identification on the weapon has been removed or what have you. How does this help to assist the Belize Police Department in tracking some of these weapons or in identifying some of these weapons?
First of all, this is the mark is deeper than a serial number. It's more difficult to erase it.
Okay.
The other thing is that the police, and not only the police in Belize, but Belize and the other countries in the Americas, will have a control of the database.
Yeah.
Where is this arm coming from? BL is Belize and the number. GOA, Guatemala, and such different in different countries. Then you'll be able to control these arms in a way that it wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
If an arm is sold or is stolen, you know where this weapon is coming from. This is important. That's not only because you can identify the criminal, but you can identify the line of crimes that made this arm go to this specific place and this specific criminal.
And how the weapon found its way to either Belize or wherever it was discovered.
Yes,
Okay.
or Guatemala or any other place, or any other place for that matter.
Dr. Coimbra, I want to talk about the OAS relationship with Belize. You are a representative here in Belize, and as you mentioned, you've been here for 3 years from during the pandemic as well. Let's talk about the relationship Belize has with the OAS and your work that you also facilitate here.
Yeah, that's very interesting because the OAS, the first resolution on Belize, it was before the independence. I mean, the countries of the Americas together said that Belize needed to be independent. Belize is a country needed to be independent. A country with the tradition of Belize, with the history of Belize, is a very important country in the Americas. You are a model in democracy. You are a model in many other things. I mean, Belize, in the way you mix different ethnicities in a very cordial and peaceful country. I don't know of any other country in the Americas that went through independence and border dispute without a war. There's no other country.
Yeah.
You didn't go through civil wars, and you saw civil wars in Guatemala, you saw civil wars in El Salvador. I mean, you see how dictatorships, in my country, Brazil, we had 20 years of dictatorships not that long ago, 50 years ago. And you see that Belize is a country where you can live, different ethnicities came in here. You had the original Mayans living here, respected in a way that you don't see in many other countries.
Yeah.
I mean, Belize contributes to the OAS as a model, and the OAS can contribute to Belize, bringing not only information, but also resources, but also standards for dealing with organized crime, for dealing with immigrants, for dealing with issues that are more than national, local issues. I mean, most of the issues nowadays, environment, organized crime, commerce, are multilateral issues. I mean, instead of a country trying to face alone the challenge of organized crime, you have to, Belize, any other country, you have to do it together. Environment, there is no other way to face the menace of the changes in the environment and the climate change without coordinating. And the OAS is the forum, is the main forum for political discussion in the Americas. It's the only place where all the governments of the Americas come together. We have a permanent council that meets almost every week with ambassadors from each country discussing the main issues. Crisis in democracy, issues for development, integral development, scholarships, how to bring more scholarships to Belize, how to give a better instruments for the Belizean people to develop. That's what the OAS is committed to do in Belize.
That's right.
How has the organization been able to address countries in dealing with issues such as transnational crimes? Because when we're looking at this hemisphere, we're looking at the flow of narcotics south to north. We're looking at the proliferation of firearms as a result of the drug trade and what have you. And all of these other associated offenses or crimes. What has been the OAS's position, and how has it been able to assist countries such as Belize in dealing with these issues?
First, I have to say that Secretary General Magro is a person that's very committed, and he thinks that's very important, an integrated vision on how to face the issue of organized crime. Since maybe it was 10 years ago when the OAS and the multilateral organizations started dealing with police, with crime, with organized crime. I mean, IDB was not even able to finance anything related to police up until 12 years ago. I mean, this is new for international organizations. Our Assistant Secretary General is a Belizean own. Ambassador Nestor Mendes is from Belize. He knows a lot about Belize, and he knows exactly where Belize needs. Of course, we have consultations with the government in order to know what really the country needs. However, we see that in the south of Belize, I mean, in the Sarstone River, I mean, in the margins of the Sarstone River, you have organized crime gangs hiding in the forests over there. We see that a migration is coming through the south of Belize to the north in order to go to the United States. And not only an issue of organized crime in drugs, organized crime on weapons, but organized crime in traffic of humans. I mean, you have very serious issues that are going through in Belize right now. In fact, I heard the other day that some Brazilians are using Belize to go north in order to cross the Rio Hondo, in order to go to Hondo, in order to go to Mexico in the United States. I mean, Belize nowadays is a pathway for migrants to going north to the United States. At the same time, you have the weapons trade, you have the weapons smuggling, you have drug smuggling. I mean, every issue, even though it's specific in the country, as I said, we have people that knows about the history and the situation of organized crime in Belize, but we also know that we have to know about the other countries and understand how this influx of arms, influx of drugs can be a problem for Belize or for the Belizean society, and how you can tackle it.
Yeah.
marking arms is one of the issues. We have many other issues. I mean, drug control is another issue.
Yeah.
Belize, not a long time ago, was talking about decriminalization of marijuana.
Yeah.
10 years or 12 years ago, the former Secretary General published a document saying that the countries they have to start thinking about that. How to tackle organized crime in issues that are needed, not in something that's part of the culture of our countries, like the use of marijuana. I mean, instead to go behind the drug, let's go behind the criminals.
Yeah.
Let's tackle the criminals and the crime. And let's see how together, alone you can do nothing. They have no borders. They are not obeying borders. I mean, I'm talking about organized crime. They have no borders. Their money, their financials are international too.
Yeah.
It don't matter about where to take money. They go into any bank and take their money easily. Weapons are coming all the time. I mean, the OAS decided, I told you more or less 12 years ago, decided to start this. Now we have a strong group of people working with Belize. We have a Department of Organized Crime, a Department of Public Security, with specialists working with Belizean authorities, police of Belize, health ministry. Think about that. Drugs are a health issue. Drugs are not a criminal issue. Drugs are a health issue. I mean, you have specialists at the OAS working at this moment with several areas of the government of Belize, trying not to show standards, what's the best way to do. Not only to show standards, but coordinate actions in order to be more efficient against organized crime.
It's interesting that you were speaking of the marijuana situation here in Belize, because just recently in our news we've started to see more reports of the Coca plantation make its way in the newscast. What do you make of that development that is seemingly seeping its way into Belize? I'm sure there must have been before situations of persons having Coca plantations, but we are now seeing it more in the newscasts where they are discovering these plantations. Is this something that the OAS would like to also support Belize in removing this type of industry before it takes over?
Yes, we did in Colombia, we did in Peru, we are doing in Peru, Colombia, and Bolivia, eradication of coca plantations. I don't think that it was evaluated enough in order to know that it's needed right now going for this kind of actions here in Belize. But there is not a surprise to me that they can come in here and plant coca fields, and they can do whatever they want. I mean, they have jets, they have submarines. Can you imagine that? They cross the Atlantic with submarines. They have jets that I understand that last year, at least 11 times the police was able to locate jets with drugs, cocaine, crossing Belize. If they can send a jet, they can plant in here too. That's not an issue. That's not a problem for organized crime. How we are going to tackle them, I will leave this with the specialists. But I'm sure that the government of Belize by itself is not going to be able to face a menace that's much stronger than the government of Belize. In fact, that's much stronger of any country in Central America.
What we're looking at, Dr. Coimbra, is a regional security issue where, while yes, you have certain actors who are involved in transnational crimes and what have you, it's the respective countries, Belize being a transshipment point, that has to deal with, you know, firearms entering into our country. We have to deal with the residuals of the movement of drugs through our country. If it's money, if it's drugs itself, firearms and what have you. And sometimes even the movement of people as a result of it. So we're looking at an issue where, yes, for us as Belizeans, it is a national security concern, but from a broader picture, it's the entire region that is faced with similar issues such as this. And so my question is, what other initiatives are being undertaken from the OAS position to be able to lend assistance to these countries that are faced with the very same issues that we're discussing?
As I just mentioned, I mean, the institution of the West that deals with drugs is acting at this very moment, is working in Central America and South America. We have a meeting going on today in Washington, D.C. on drugs. CICAD is the organism of the OAS that deals with the drugs. We have a meeting today, and we have Belizeans, have a Belizean representative that yesterday flew to Washington, D.C. for a meeting. On the meetings, they not only evaluate the situation, but they propose tactics and they coordinate their tactics in order to face the problem. You can say that at this moment, Belize needs more such and such things. In other countries, we are going to need more. I don't know.
The resources vary.
Yeah, resources vary. The moments vary. You have to see, because organized crime is like, they have the balloon effect. If you press in one way, they are going to the other way. For a while, they said that lighting a place was very good to combat crime. And I remember that Rudy Giuliani, a former mayor of New York, used to sell lighting equipment to Colombia, Ecuador, and many other countries in Latin America. He went millionaire selling lighting equipment. The other day I saw that they are changing lights in here. Oh yeah, that's very good to be better lighted. I mean, Coney Drive all the way through Princess Margaret, they are changing. That's good, that's an action that's important. But you have to know, and that's why the international experience will teach you, saying that, look at this, be ready, because they are going to move to a different place. Be ready, because they're going to move to the place that's now it's a little bit darkened. Or they'll change their tactics. I mean, we have, the OAS is not more than an organization that can play with standards, can show what are the best standards, the best solutions. We can't apply, we are not going to substitute the governments, but we can learn with different countries. As I said, we learn with how the Belize deals with a good, an excellent, cordial society. And you learn how Colombia tried to face organized crime 20 years ago, and you learn how this problem is inflicting, is creating problems for different countries. And with this experience, we can create standards and tell Belize, look at this, maybe that's the best way now is this. But look at this, you have some excellent and interesting experience. You have the only prison in the Americas that's a private NGO prison. It's working well. It's working very well. I mean, your prison, Belizean prison, is not yet a university of crime, as we have in Brazil, as we have in many other places, as we are going to have in many other places. I say Brazil because it's my country, I know very well. But you see, you have some examples here. Maybe an NGO dealing with a prison in certain moments, in certain countries, is going to be a nice solution. In order to try to deny the criminals to transform a prison in a university of crime. Maybe that's better not to send to prison people that are taking from the streets selling marijuana, because they are non-violent. They are going to learn the criminal profession. They are going to be integrated to organized crime. Think about a student that leaves the school at 15, 16 years old here in Belize. What they are going to do, they are going to the streets. Who are the leaders? Who are the person that they see with gold, with money, with new cars? Who are the idols? We can't leave that happen. This is the experience that happened in Colombia. Let's see how in Belize we can bring the kids back to school. Back to school is very important. You see, I mentioned education, I mentioned health, I mentioned police, defense. There's a lot of parts of the government that have to work together and in tandem, organized with some other countries in order for us to have effectively face maybe the most important challenge of our century here.
Wonderful. Dr. Coimbra, my last question has to do with other projects that we could see come out of the relationship with the OAS and Belize.
Scholarships. We provided 104, look at the number, scholarships in the last semester for Belizeans. Master's degree, mostly master's degree, mostly master's degree on business. That's okay, that's a little bit of an effort, but I think that if we keep that pace, in 10 years we are going to change this country, we have better managers, at least better managers. Brazil is offering a scholarship through the OAS. You can go to Brazil tuition free, any field, medicine. You can study medicine in Brazil, tuition free. You'll be back as a doctor to live in Belize. I'm really sad that I was looking for a doctor, and I found in Merida, my doctor is Belizean, and he works in Merida. And we don't have this kind of specialty here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good to see that the OAS is trying to work in preparing Belizean students to be a good citizens. Another issue that the OAS is dealing with, I told you, drugs, that's important. I mean, there's several issues. Oh, the border, the line between the border between Guatemala and Belize, maybe that's the most important. Adjacency zone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the most important project of the OAS in Belize. That's between Belize and Guatemala. I mean, we were able to pacify an area where you have people from both sides, from the same families. They are Mayans. They live there, they have been living there forever. There is no border for them.
Yeah.
And the OAS is there with committed to promote peace, training professionals, professional training for Belizeans, young Guatemalans together. They study together, they go to the border. If anything happens at the border and there is a crossing, I mean, from a family of Guatemalans running away from organized crime, they come and settle in Belize, start planting some crops. Instead of sending the army to talk with them, you are going to send the OAS, and they will talk, they will have a conversation, they will write down a report to the government, de-escalate events. I mean, most of our work at the border is a work for de-escalating events and looking at the migrant not as a criminal, but as a victim. They are a victim. They have been pushing out of their countries. And they are coming to Belize and contributing. I'm sorry. I remember Nobel Prize in economics 3 years ago. He won the Nobel Prize, and one of his main theses was how immigration helped Florida turn out to be one of the most important states in the United States. How immigration is important for a country. It is good to know that the OAS is contributing for Belize to understand that immigration is a very important thing. Together with IOM, they started the amnesty process.
Yes.
I mean, driven by OIM, International Organization for Migration. I mean, several issues that are important for the country. Multilateral work is a very important work. I'm proud to be an international employee of organization that works for human rights, works for democracy. Yeah. Human rights is very important to all of us. Let's not give up our pledge to have a hemisphere with respect to human rights or democracy.
Wonderful. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Coimbra, for stopping by and sharing with us the donation to Belize, and also sharing us the other projects that involves the OAS and Belize's long-standing relationship and collaboration with each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. Good morning to you all. Good morning.
Alrighty, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, it's all about Uno Christmas deals. Don't go away.